The original, the one, the only, very first. It was the sixth album from the Fab Four. It was almost like a break from reality. Or was it the surrealism of all the concerts and the screaming? But in 1965, in a hiatus situation, the Beatles went into a studio, the studio, and put together Rubber Soul. It was paramount that they did release this many albums in 1 year. They were looking to release the follow-up, which I think was Revolver, but only a short time later, which is almost like part 2 of this particular album. As history will have it, Rubber Soul was almost seen as a comedic album from the Fab Four. However, that's not how the fans took it. They took it to heart and they took it seriously, because as it turns out, it is full of fantastic songs. The reason why this album is so important is because it literally shaped the future of what would become pop music. You know, the whole thing about video killing the radio star and everything like that. This is basically where this comes from. And they've really gone in a different direction with Rubber Soul. It was a song after song list of very different compilations put together carefully. Whether or not they thought for a minute that some of these songs would be forever is another discussion. The cover of the album alone was considered different, but it was also considered the first original psychedelic album as well. It showed the world that you could have a pop album, and an album could be more important than individual songs. It showed the world there was also a psychedelic movement on the way, and as early as 1965, the boys knew this. While Sgt. Pepper's had a really big impact on the world and the future of music as well, Rubber Soul impacted many musicians. One, for example, was Brian Wilson, which enticed him to get going on Pet Sounds. It showed Brian that he could make an album however he wanted it to sound, and he didn't have to follow suit with individual singles and just one-off songs from one-off artists. You could live forever, and you could put together an entire album full of music that you wanted to put on it. One interesting tidbit: George Martin and the Beatles always took pride in the way the songs were listed on the album. So the way that you listen to it from side one all the way through to the last song is exactly how they wanted you to hear it. This was important back then because it kind of went in succinct succession. However, come the 70s and 80s and the redistribution of remastered songs in the 90s and cassettes and all that, they had to change the order of the songs, especially on cassette, because otherwise they wouldn't fit equally on either side and they couldn't have the tape equal amount. Of course, tapes are gone now and no one cares. Being able to release an album exactly how they wanted it was the benchmark for future artists to come. Led Zeppelin would say, wow, we are so going to do what we want. Pink Floyd said, wow, we are so going to do what we want. And that's exactly what happened to follow it. Rubber Soul, without a doubt, every track, every moment of it is enjoyable. It belongs in the list of world's best rock albums. Well, that's it. Gotta run. Gotta go and buy my imaginary friend a birthday present. I'm going to go down to the mall and I'm going to pretend to buy them a present. Until next time.